Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time, back with the one and only and amazing Beth Traverso. How you doing, Beth?
Hey, I'm doing great, Michael. Thank you so much for having me back again.
Oh, you are a welcome addition to the channel, bringing so much experience and just joy. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
thanks. It's
So,
reciprocal. Yeah.
oh, awesome. So, I want to talk about, I don't know, seasonality. I guess I think 2020 and 2021 kind of have warped expectations for buyers, sellers, agents, investors, pretty much anybody involved in or around real estate. The last 2 years have been wild. And if you got in the game in the last 2 years, you think it's like that all the time.
Yeah.
And I think what we are increasingly seeing is seasonality coming back. We're going to start to see metrics look crazy when you compare to 2020 and 2021. But if you compare to 2018, they'll be like, oh, those are kind of within
Yeah.
the realm. So talk to me about what you're seeing and if you disagree or agree.
Yeah, I agree. And it's been definitely on the front of my mind lately as I'm watching all of this because I'm seeing it in all sorts of different aspects of the real estate market. I'm seeing a return to seasonality in real estate sales. I'm seeing a return to seasonality in rentals. And I'm seeing a return to seasonality in Airbnb bookings. I'm seeing all of that happening at the same time, which kind of I think shows me just a bigger trend of just that life is going back to more of a, it's a little more of a normalized pace of things. Now, of course, there's other greater things going on. I'm not saying there's different market influences. You talk about that all day, every day with people way smarter than me, and I acknowledge all that. But I am seeing there is such a thing traditionally as real estate seasonality,
Mhm.
and when you compare month to month, which a lot, especially I block the crash videos, like we don't watch them, but I know enough to know that they like just from the headlines that somehow YouTube still pops them up into my feed, even though I try to get rid of it. Is it set? It goes on these things about down, from last month, and it's like, well, that's normal. And if you look
Yeah.
at the
Have
charts,
you
you see
looked at a graph? It
they
always does
always
this.
go like this, like real estate goes like this, but with it's the greater trend over time. If you flatten it into a line, then you see a little
Yeah.
more.
Right.
So
Yeah, it's
what I've
funny.
been seeing is, and so I wish I could do a screen share to show you, but I watched one particular graph that kind of showed supply and demand in King County, Washington, which is our greater Seattle area. And you
If
can
you would
see that
like to
there,
share screens, you can
you
actually do
know,
that.
if you want to, we could.
All right, here we go. So you now have
Okay.
ability to share. So all you have to
Hold
do is
on.
there's
Wait, give me a moment to get it up here. Okay.
okay.
Let's see if this will work.
All you have to do is hit share screen. I don't know if you've done it
Okay.
before.
Let's hope I don't mess up your video here, but let's
No,
try it, okay?
it's fine.
All right. Can you see
Yes,
this? All
it's
right. So
coming, I
not the
think.
not the best. I wish it was
Yeah,
filled the whole screen.
it's
But you
okay.
can see here, so this is our normal inventory. This is active listings, the green line. And then the blue
Perfect.
line is the pending listings. So you can see back in 2018, this is the last time we had more of a buyer's market when
Hmm.
interest rates went up to what
Yep, I
seems
remember.
low now, but was high
Yeah,
then.
yeah, it
You
broke
know,
6%. Yeah,
all
exactly.
of a sudden
Right.
it just like slammed the brakes and things went
Hmm.
and inventory went up. So you can always see like the lows are here in January, and they always peak around July, January and July, January, July, like this. And but then here is where the pandemic started and everything went haywire. And here you see the pending listings exceeding the supply
Yeah,
because the
that's
pending listings
that's
just
not
went down,
normal.
down, down. Look at
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
All the way down to last about December or so when there was
Right.
literally nothing for sale.
Yeah, so if you wanted to, and you would be technically correct, you could say in about 7 months, so January of 22, or actually, I don't know what that is, call it a year, your inventory, Beth, is up 400%.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So
Oh
yeah.
my goodness gracious, watch out.
Look at this. The world's ending.
Yeah,
But then
it's
you look at this and it's like, oh. And the funny thing is, I remember 2019 being one of my favorite markets ever. I loved 2019.
wow.
And the reason why was like, hey, as a listing agent, I know that we'll get an offer, a good one or two good offers in a reasonable amount of time. And as a
Mhm.
buyer, I knew, like, you know what, our buyers or myself as a buyer, we have a decent shot at getting a good deal anytime, relatively speaking. It felt
Yeah.
really balanced.
Hmm.
So, and we're still, we're lower inventory than that. And we were just talking about in the other video that I'm starting to see inventory starting to come down for the holiday because it always does, and people don't
Right.
freak out. It's just, it always goes down around this time of year. So it's
Yeah.
going to
Look
go
at that.
down
Yeah.
again. I'm
Yeah.
predicting right now that inventory is going to go down again, and pending sales will too. But
Yeah.
so anyway, this is just to show, I'll stop the share, but that's just to give an idea of like what we're seeing, you know? So just when you look at it like that, you realize, okay, there is a normalcy to it that got turned upside down because the circumstances were not what we're accustomed to.
Yeah.
And so that doesn't shock me really, because things are kind of moving beyond that.
Yeah.
Um,
I think there's a couple of things that if I was new to the game the last couple of years as an investor, I would tell you is I would ask an agent, again, network, right? We'll talk about getting back to basics in video number 3. But I would talk to agents about tell me about the 2018 or 2009. Go get me those days on market, months of inventory. Because again, what you have got in the last 2 years are so distorted
yeah.
that if you wanted to really scare yourself, you could. Like, for example, Beth could say, inventory in my market is up 400%. That might sound crazy, but it's still below historical trend. Um, so I think you're right. I think seasonality, we're going to leave this warped market that was, $8 trillion and mortgage rates under 3% in the rearview mirror. But for some people, it's going to scare them, right? Days on market, like I was talking to Omar, going from 9 to 27, I think. I
Yeah.
mean, if you wanted to, that's 300%. But we're still below the average of 42
It's
from
interesting how you can take statistics and not lie, but make it
yeah,
kind of fit whatever you want it to say.
a la crash channels.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, just keep that in mind, folks, and yeah, keep watching to Mike and the people on this channel who are going to give you maybe more balanced view. And so the other thing I want to mention is we talked about sales, but I'm seeing it in rentals too. And so now I don't have the bigger data, because it seems like most of the big data tracks apartment buildings and things like that. I'm talking ma and pa, 'cause that's still what I consider myself. I'm kind of like one of those.
Yeah, yeah.
And I have 2 houses that came up for rent recently, and both of
Right.
them ended up having to lease for a lot lower than I would have anticipated in the springtime.
Mm.
And it's been a while since everyone's talked about rents up, and that's kind of the shining star of all this. And believe me, I'm a fan of rental. Don't get me wrong. Like, I love receiving rental income. I love, getting that. I'm 100% on board with all of that, but we just need to be realistic too, that, hey, there's seasonality in it too. So
Yep.
one of them I had to lease for maybe $400 or so less than I would have otherwise.
Now, on a percentage basis, what is that?
Sorry,
15%?
percentage was about maybe 15% lower,
Okay.
and it's a seasonality thing, because it's in an area where almost everybody has kids, and it all revolves around the school year, and there's
Right.
summer vacations and things like that. So
Yeah.
that's how it always was over the last 20 plus years that I've been renting houses. It was always like that. But it just stopped being like that 2 years ago, when all of a sudden there was no place to live. There was only like one house for rent in the entire area, and everybody just fought for it, and the prices
Right.
went up. So, I mean, I guess it's good news if you're going to be renting. So, like,
Yeah.
it's always depends on what side you're on,
Yeah, of
and
course.
how it
Yeah.
impacts you. And then I have another one we're getting it rented hopefully today, that I wasn't able to increase the rent, but I didn't have to decrease it either. But I decided, you know what, I don't want to, I'm going back to a thing where I don't want to have leases renewing in November. So we're doing a
Exactly.
shorter lease.
Seasonality.
We're going to open it up. We're going to optimize for the seasonality that we are now back in. And I'm going to do it a lease that renews April 1st.
There you go.
So,
I
and
like
then
it.
do it annually after that.
Yeah, I want real estate agents, investors, buyers, homeowners to realize that I think you're right. I think we're inching our way back to life is normal, right? We're going to take this 2 years of the pandemic and just throw it away, never want to see it again for lots of reasons. But we've got to, it's going to be uncomfortable working back to seasonality. So don't freak out. If you're new to the game, talk to people that have been in the game longer. Ask them about seasonality. Ask them about averages, because I think we're going to work back to that in most markets. And if you're in the Seattle or King County area, they should be reaching out to you, Beth. How would they do that?
Yeah, they can go to my website, BethTraversogroup.com, or just find me on Facebook, or just Google me. I'm really easy to find. The
There you
name's
go.
right there in the corner, so you guys can
Right over there.
find wherever you point there. Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Thank you so
right.
much.